Cool. So, periodic table, who created it? Dmitry Mendeleev. When do you get this in your exam?
I thought you have it on the table.
Sure. Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you don't. Just memorise it.
I don't know. You got to memorise it.
Oh wait, no, I don't know.
That's mental. We can't memorise that.
No.
You get it. You get it in your test every time. So in chemistry and science, you're basically getting a cheat sheet. It's got so many answers on there. If you know this off by heart, not all of the themes, but if you know the tricks of the trade, it can make such a difference to your tests. So, first things first, we know it's the periodic table. Only ever, if you're going to look at a periodic table, get this one. It has to say AQA on it. Because otherwise, they mess them up. Sometimes the numbers are swapped, sometimes they're put in different places, and you're just going to confuse yourself. Right, periodic table. It shows us all the elements in the universe that we know. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 0. Each group has a name. What's the name of group 1?
Metals.
Oh, so close.
Non-metals.
They are metals, yeah, good. Metals on this side on the left, non-metals on the right. What's the name of group 1?
You got Earth something.
Oh, so close. It begins with an A.
Close.
Oh, what was that?
Earth metals.
No, someone said. Someone just went, oh.
Beanie.
Beanie, what'd you say? Alkaline metals. Again, these are just simple things you just need to know. Alkaline metals.
They're all metals, so they don't really make a difference.
What's the second one? We live on it. Earth metals. What's this bit in the middle here?
They're like the most reactive, least reactive, isn't it?
No.
Non-metals.
If I was changing from a boy to a girl, I'd be going through a
Transgender.
Transition.
trans what?
Transition.
Transition. Transition metals. Group 3, Group 4 and Group 5 and Group 6 do not have names. But Group 7 are the most polite of all the groups. What's the name of Group 7? Begins with a H.
Oh, halogens.
See, you do know it.
Halogens.
Halogens. And the last one, anyone know what they are?
Non-metals.
They are non-metals. Begins with an N. O. A little bit of hangman.
Neutral. No.
Give me a letter.
Oh.
O. N.
Neons.
Who?
Neil. Noble. Noble.
Get up there, noble.
What is neon?
Noble gases.
Close.
Neil.
I don't know.
Yeah, you said it starts with no.
Starts with a no. Noble.
Oh, you said no.
Right, so
Definitely said no.
it's not that hard to remember them over time. It's obviously practice and practice, but you've got to remember the names of these groups. So it could be just a simple answer in an exam paper is, what is the name of the group that fluorine's in? Well, halogens. Thank you very much. Give me my mark, give me my GCSE, let me get on my line. Yeah? What about what group is argon in? Or noble gases? What about whatever that is? Can't read it. Ruthenium.
What's the transition metal?
Transition metal is just a group of metals that are in the centre point. The reason for it is because all of these react the same, all of these react the same as the groups going down, but all of these do slightly different things to each other. Right, what about this? What's the name of the top number? It's got a name. How about we do a little
Is it
hang
numerator, isn't it?
No, that's
4 letters.
I see.
Get up there with a mass number.
That's the bottom.
Right, we've got a mass number, and what did you say the other one was?
Atomic.
Atomic. Hold a minute, I'm in my exam, I've got my periodic table there, I have no idea what I'm doing, and they ask me which one's the mass number. Well, hold up a minute, let me just have a look. Is this box on the periodic table? Yeah, it's part of the whole thing, right? What does that say? Mass. What does that say? Do you even have to remember it? It's on the paper. Cheat sheet, you get it there and then. So what's the top number called? What's the bottom number called? What's the name of group 1? 2? Middle?
Transition.
Group 0?
Halogen.
Noble.
See,
Noble.
you got the kids out there. Alright, noble gases and then halogens. Again, it's just about you getting it and putting it together. Now, you can get your own periodic table. I'm going to send you this one, and you can annotate and print your own. I will make my classes ones, but you're more than welcome to take it and I'll pass it on to the other science teachers. So I normally annotate the whole thing and then send it out with all the points in it.
Do we have like air conditioners?
We have that fan. We have that fan over there, you're more than welcome to put on. We have...
That would just make it hotter over there.
Miss, have we got any more fans? Huh? Oh, I see. No.
There must be more than one fan in this whole school.
No, that's it. We're not allowed any fans.
Oh yeah, good on Megan.
There's no aircon in here. I thought there would be because of the computer room, but...
There's no windows either.
Well, there is, but they don't know.
Yeah, we've got the best room. Actually, what I'm talking about, I'm leaving this room after this one. You're stuck here.
They're in the music room.
There's water over there. Enjoy that. Okay,
It's not even cold.
going back to this. So, mass number, atomic, alkaline, earth, transition, halogens, noble gases, and we get this as a cheat sheet. Does anyone want to grab water? Grab it now.
Lovely. Oh, you've got a warm one here. Come on. There is
No, you're not allowed to pass it to each other.
Oh my.
Oh.
What happens if she has to touch the body?
What's your answer?
It's true though. You've got to be careful. Right. Has anyone actually gone through any of this with anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
We've got the steps in green.
You've got the steps as well between metals and non-metals. Metals on the left, non-metals on the right. And again, if you ever get stuck, this is in front of you. Well, go for it. Magnesium you know is a metal. Iron you know is a metal. So you can tell between the metals and the non-metals. Right, what about this though?
Oh.
Oh, that's easy. You just do
Electrons.
Yeah. That's
Electrons, cool. Where are electrons found?
in the numbers.
In the numbers. If we got this and we got
If it's in the first
7,
section,
3,
it's one ring.
lithium. And what am I holding? Pen. Oh, let's write pen. What do you think they all stand for? Protons, electrons, and neutrons. I'm going to give you the cheat for the whole thing. Ready? Don't even have to think about it. That bottom number is the same for protons and electrons. Done?
7.
All the time. And then all you have to do with neutrons is take 7 away from 3. That's it. The bottom number is always the same for how many protons you got and how many electrons. And then neutrons, you just take the top number and minus it away from the bottom. So let's try another one. Magnesium 2412. Right, pen. How many protons have I got? Oh, sorry, that's a
12.
Alright, bottom number goes to the first 2. 12, 12.
12.
Well, how do you work that out?
Minus 12 and
24 minus 12. And it's the same every time. I was super dyslexic when I was at school, so I had to find ways of cheating in a way, because otherwise I just get so confused with the whole thing. So anything that I came up with, so even like fluorine, 19.9, and they asked me how many protons, electrons and neutrons were in that, well, all I'd ever do is take this 9, first 2, 19 minus 9, which equals, job done. If they ask you how many protons, electrons and neutrons are in any of these, well, you've got your cheat sheet with you, all you're going to do is do the same thing every time. This is going to be with you. Cheat sheet, I call it a cheat sheet. Cheat sheet. Because you can cheat in a way, not actually cheat, obviously, but by having this in front of you. But let's go back to this. We've got electrons on our shells. How many electrons can you have maximum on the first shell?
1. Hey.
How many can you have maximum on every other shell?
8.
So 2 and 8. But we can kind of cheat again without even thinking about it. Each of these numbers here tell us how many electrons are on the outer shell. So, how many electrons on the outer shell of lithium?
1,
How many on the outside of magnesium?
2,
What about carbon?
4,
Oxygen?
6,
Fluorine?
7.
I always like to call this group A, but they changed it, group A/0. How many electrons on the outer shell of that?
8.
So if in an exam, they ever ask you...
0 because it's a full out shell.
Yeah, that's it. And they call it 0 because it's got no charge, it doesn't want to react to anything. But if they ask you in your exam, how many electrons on the outer shell of boron, you have to figure it out. You just go 3. It's in group 3. Okay, what's the name of group 1? Group 2? Middle?
What?
What's the middle group?
Middle group? Oh, trans.
Not trans, but transition. Alright, cool. Group 7?
What's it called?
Halogens.
Halogens. And the last one? Done, right?
What's 3, 4, and that?
They
3, 4, 5 and 6 are just called groups. 3, 4, 5 and 6.
Why don't
So-
we have one?
I don't know.
Special one.
Blame Dmitry Mendeleev. Who was Dmitry Mendeleev?
The
Person who made it.
Cool. Was he?
Yeah.
Would you say invented or made?
I don't know. There was someone before him though.
Yeah,
well,
but they
you
made it.
suggest.
He ordered it.
He didn't order it. It's not like he went on Amazon and booked it. He just... But there was someone before. Dmitry Mendeleev kind of took the idea and made it better off of someone before, and their name, their first name started with 3 letters.
That's 4.
No, 4, sorry. Tell I haven't taught in 10 weeks. 4 letters. Go on, give me a letter.
Jeff.
Oh, J.
John.
John.
Please.
Who's one John?
Yeah.
Or you could
Newlands.
round the H in there.
John Newlands was the actual one that you need to remember as the first kind of person that put it together. Dmitry Mendeleev was the one that made it the one that we use today. Now, the one we use today goes up in what number? Dmitry Mendeleev changed the whole periodic table around so it went up in a certain number. So what number does it go up in?
Ones.
True, but what's the name of the number? I'm going to give you the answers.
I'm so confused. What do
Okay.
you mean it goes up numbers?
John Newlands was the first person.
Oh, so it'd be second person.
Dmitry Mendeleev, who was the one that made the periodic table we're looking at today, rearranged it so it went up in a certain number.
Atomic rhythm.
Good, how do you know that?
No, I didn't know.
Well, hold on a minute. The bottom number's called atomic, right?
It goes up.
Well, let's have a look. Hold up. So, 2, 3, 4,
Oh, yeah,
5,
they're
6,
going
7,
the
8,
same
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's easy. Do you get this sheet when you're in your exam?
Yes.
Yeah. So if they ever ask you, what number does the periodic table go up in? Just look. Dmitry changed it to atomic because John Newlands made a malfunction and done it wrong because he put it up in the other one. What's the other one? What other number?
Mass.
Mass. Dmitry put it in atomic because John put it up in mass.
Surely that's a
Well, look here, so if you put it up in mass,
Yeah.
you'd have like 45, 48, where's 47? 48, 51, where's the others? It doesn't go up as well as the others.
easier.
It's so much easier that it fits. Also, Dmitry Mendeleev found out that every time he did it, well, all these metals would end up in group 1, and all these metals react with water. So it fit perfectly. But let's say I got to an exam and I got confused and I got a bit lost on what number the new periodic table goes up in. Do you have this sheet on your table? Can you just look at it? Well, actually, this one goes up in atomic. I know it's the new one by Dmitry because John Newlands, he did it wrong because he did it in maths. It's all there. So you've just answered maybe 12 exam questions just by having this sheet in front of you and understanding what it is. Right, any questions? Good, I'm going to test you now. Might as well just teach you the whole way. Right, what's this? White routine, I'm not working. So this was molten mildew, but.
When's break the lunch?
Break, there is no break,
Oh.
but there is a lunch at 12 o'clock. You can eat your sandwich and everything that's been delivered up here from McDonald's. Only
No
joking.
way.
There is no McDonald's. I'm getting a McDonald's.
Can we get food delivered to us?
No. I won't joke, I'm going to have a sandwich with you lot.
I think that's like, surely if
So, do you want to carry on recording or do you want to stop?
No, that's all right, I'll just keep
Carry
going.
on.
They might want to watch it before they send it. Okay. Here we go. What's the name of group 1?
Alkaline.
Alka what?
Alkaline.
Alkaline. Good. What's the name of group 2?
Uh,
Are they right? What do we live on? Good. Earth metals. Number 2, earth metals. What's the middle bit? Because they go from metals to non-metals. They're
Transition.
What's the name of group 7? And what's the name of the last group?
Noble.
Noble gases, right? Okay, so what's the top number called?
A mass.
Mass. Also, wait a minute. If it's called the mass number, I would only call something massive.
If it's,
Well,
if it's on top.
it's the bigger number, isn't it?
Oh.
So if I ask you which one's the mass number between 51 and 23, why? Because it's massive.
Will it always be the big
Logically.
one, like on top?
Always. Always be the big one. They might confuse you and test you. They might swap it and just say to you which one's the mass number. But if you keep in your head it's the massive number, well, the other one must be the atomic. Who created the first one that?
John Newton.
John who?
Newlands.
I
Newlands.
was close.
All right. John came up with a new idea. John Newlands came up with a new idea for the periodic table, and Dmitry Mendeleev perfected it. Because Dmitry Mendeleev changed the number from mass to what?
Atomic.
Does it go up in atomic number? How do you know?
Because it's
Well, you can see it. Kind of.
Yeah.
It's literally there.
That's right.
Okay. How many electrons in the first shell?
Electrons. Yeah.
I'm going to take my shell. Launch it. 2.
That's what
How many in every other shell? Cool. What are the 3 types of bonds in chemistry? Ooh, close. The 3 types of bonds.
Covalent.
Yep.
There's another C one, isn't there?
Covalent. They coexist, they share electrons.
We ain't told us none of this. Yeah, we ain't.
I'm just throwing it out there. Another one that begins with I.
Ionic.
Ionic. Last one.
Are we done this before we left?
2 metals that join together.
Compact. No. I'm so stupid.
Metallic. Right. Good. How many protons, electrons and neutrons are there in, pick one, aluminium? How many protons are there?
13.
How many electrons?
13.
What do I do with the last bit?
Subtract.
Oh, subtract. Nice, nice word, right. 27 minus 13 equals what?
That's
15. No, yeah.
15.
Good. Easy, right? Protons, electrons and neutrons.
Yeah.
How did you work that out? Well, do you know what? It's on the periodic table, which I'm going to have in my exam, which is my cheat sheet, which I'm going to use 97% of the time. Right, if the question asks you how many electrons on the outside shell of something in group 2, how many electrons on the outside shell? 2? How do you know?
So above it.
Well, it says 2. So how many electrons on the outside shell? 2. Thank you very much. What about in group 3?
3.
What about there? What about here?
0/8.
Yes. 8. 8 electrons in the outer shell,
So
right?
if you have to draw it, you put 2 in the middle and then however many on top.
So these are called groups. So this is where it gets that push it even further. Groups equals electrons on the outer shell. Groups. These are groups going down. Periods. How many electron shells. It has. So groups going down is electrons on the outer shell. Periods going across is how many electron shells they actually have. The only thing with groups is really easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 0. You wouldn't really have to worry about any of these. But periods going across, how many electrons, they start from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The only thing you have to remember with periods, again, if you get this periodic table in front of you and they say start your exam, can you write all over it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, it's yours. So you can go in there straight away and just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you've got your group, job done. Write John Newland, write Dmitry Mendeleev, write pen down the side.
Wait, is that top one? What's that one?
This?
No, the H thing on its own.
Hydrogen.
Is that part of, what's that?
So this is an element that's on its own because it doesn't fit into the other groups. It does its own thing. The only thing you have to remember is when you're talking about periods going across, is it's this number starts from here. So how many electron shells does hydrogen have? 1. How many electron shells does lithium have?
2.
What about sodium? What about here?
4.
Here?
5.
Simple, right? So if I asked you to complete an electron structure for, let's say, sodium, I'd go, wait a minute, it's got 3 shells. 1, 2, 3. It's got 1 electron on the outer shell, so that must mean the other 2 are full. So I put 2 there and 8 here. Didn't even have to think about it. Stole it from the cheat sheet. Does that make sense?
Just checking that everyone's feeling alright.
Yeah.
Oh no, I feel like I'm going to be sick.
No, I so. Okay.
Could you get us some fans?
Oh, well, that's a good idea, man. I did not realise about the fan thing. You're not allowed to spread all the stuff on. You're in it. Okay. Who created the first periodic table?
John Newton.
Newlands. New one, new land, not Newtons. Newlands.
It was a Newton. Is that the guy who landed on the moon?
Isaac Newton.
Yeah, that's
He didn't go on the moon. Wow. 10 weeks has been tough for you, isn't it, mate? No. Flipping hell. Right.
That's close though.
What's the name of group 1?
Alkaline.
Group 2? Group middle bit?
I'm clueless.
No, you're not clueless. You're a genius.
Which bit?
This bit here.
Transition.
Oh, no.
It's going from metals to non-metals. It's
Transition.
Transition.
Good. What's that? Group 7. They're very polite. They always say,
Halogens.
it's up there. Last one.
No.
Good. How many electrons on the first shell?
Missed you out.
How many? 2. How many on every other shell after that?
A.
Good. If I'm going in groups, it tells me electron shells on the outer shell. How many in that?
1,
How many on the outside?
2,
How many here?
3, 4, 5.
Good. What do I use if I want to work out protons, electrons and neutrons?
Pen.
Pen. You use your pen to find out protons, electrons and neutrons. Let's go with something random. Argon. Dun, dun, dun. 14. Oh, my flipping head's in. 18. Right pen. How many protons?
18.
Good. How many electrons?
18.
How many neutrons?
22.
How much? You sure? Yeah, good. Done.
Rusty.
See, it's not that hard to catch up. You're going to get there in 2 minutes. Who created this table that we're using today?
Dmitry Mendeleev.
Yeah, Dmitry Mendeleev, that is not me. Please, my name's Demetrius Michael, not Mendeleev. What number does this one go up in?
Atomic.
Good. What one did John's go up in?
Maths.
How do you tell the difference? Which one does that go up in?
Atomic.
Do you have that sheet on your table when you start your exam? Easy. Thank you very much. Give me my
Do you have
GCSE.
that for all 3, like...
All 3. Oh, actually, biology, do you have it?
No.
No, you don't have it in biology, but chemistry and physics, but you don't actually need it in biology. But chemistry and physics, you'll have it. And you'll use it for physics as well, because they might ask you this protons, electrons, and neutrons one as well. How many shells does hydrogen have?
1,
How many shells does lithium have?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
You
7.
just have to remember that when you're going periods on electron shells, it starts here. This is number 1. So, Sophie? Sophie? It's not, is it?
Yes.
Right, Sophie, so let's say for example, I pick potassium here, yeah? How many shells has potassium got? Cool. So I can just easily draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now how many electrons on the outer shell?
You fill them up until one.
That's it. So I know there's one there. If I've had to go into another shell, it means that the others are full up, innit? So you know that. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's not the first shell, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many on the next one?
2.
How many electrons maximum can you have on the first shell?
2.
How many electrons maximum can you have on every shell after that?
8.
Good. Can I have 6 electrons on this shell?
No.
Well, you can, because the maximum you can have is 8.
Why are you putting so
Oh
many?
yeah.
Oh, they're
What does that
electrons.
mean?
The crosses mean electrons.
Why did you get none?
So I know from here that there's 4 shells,
Yeah,
yeah? And I know
What did
there's
you-
1 electron on the outer shell.
yeah,
So if I draw the 4 shells,
yeah,
and I've got 1 on the outside,
yeah.
that means that if I had to go onto this shell, it means that every other shell before that
What number
must have a
is it?
total. Do I have this number
You
here?
can't do
19.
dots. Or
You
is
can
that
do
when you
dots or
transfer?
cross, yeah. It doesn't really matter. I use crosses because I can see it better. But when you're doing ionic transfers, you use dot and cross diagrams.
Which country's
Hey, you're asking a question, alright? You thought Isaac Newton went on the moon.
It was
alright?
close enough.
No, it wasn't close. It's like nowhere near. Like they didn't even know there was like
What did he do?
rockets back then.
What did he do?
He thought up a load of theories of E
Do you
equals
even
MC
know who went
squares.
on the moon?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on, who went on the moon?
Neil
Who?
Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong.
But
And?
apparently he didn't actually.
And the dog.
And
No.
The dog was the first thing on the moon.
Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, I never knew this after. I always knew him.
Buzz Lightyear.
No, it wasn't Buzz Lightyear. Okay. The only way to truly know if you've solved the problems of today's lesson is to actually practice it. So let's go with who was the first person who created the first periodic table created by? Begins with a J. Oh, there's a little
He's
glitch.
got hands on the moon.
Who is it? Begins with a J.
Johnny
Yeah,
boy.
Who?
yeah, that's what they said.
What did she say?
I don't know, I can't hear her. She's too far.
First word J.
John Newland.
John Newland. Who
Yeah.
created the one that we use today?
You.
Dmitry Mendeleev.
We just
Uh,
said it, we know where it's going.
What number does this periodic table go up in?
Oh no.
Good. What's the top number called? How do we know it's mass?
It's on the sheet.
Because it's a bigger number.
It's a big number, also it tells you there, right? How many electrons on the outer shell of something in this group?
6.
How do you know?
Because it says above it.
Good. What's the name of this group?
Alkaline.
Good. What's the name of this group?
Halogen.
This group?
Pro.
Pro who?
No,
What's the name of this group?
Noble.
Noble gases.
close.
What about this one? We live on it.
Earth.
And what's this group?
Transition.
Guitar. Let's see you learn
It's
it.
not my favourite.
What about what is actually in an atom? What 3 things are in an atom?
That's that pen in it.
Yeah.
Protons, electrons, neutrons.
Protons, electrons, and neutrons you find in an atom. If I wanted to work out which one it is for this, I would do bottom number 2, top minus that equals 2. Easy every time you get it right. You can't get it wrong.
You can if you do your maths wrong.
Groups equal what? So if these are groups, if these are actually called groups, what is it actually telling us?
Section.
Close. Someone said it. How many what?
Group.
No.
Shells.
No. If we talk about groups going down, you've just done it. If I tell you how many electrons on the outer shell, how many are there? One. So this group tells us how many electrons on the outer shell. That's it. If I do periods going down, what does that tell us?
How many shells?
How many shells in total it's got. And again, like I think that's where because we do it the other way before, if you know that number is electrons, because you've done 10, well then you can also just do the shells by, well, it's got 4 electrons. If I fill up 2 there, how many on the other shell?
2.
2. Job done. How many electrons maximum can you have on the first shell?
2.
How many electrons maximum can you have on the others? Yeah, good. So if I know this is how many electrons I've got, well, that's easy. I can just go, well, there's 7 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Haven't you got to plot it differently though when it's like that? Like what you have to like use. So say it was 7, you put 2 that 1 on that side, 1 on the other, 1 on the other.
Oh, I see what you mean. What do you mean, like, if I had 4 here, I'd do it like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it, evens it out. As long as there's the same amount of electrons as meant to be there. Okay? How many elements, sorry. How many elements do you have to know?
Isn't it the first like 10?
Nope. Do you have to know every single one?
You don't need to know any of them, they're already on there.
The only ones that will ever come up in your tests is the first 20.
Close to 10.
How do you know which ones are the first 20?
They're on the sheet.
They're on the sheet, and what have they got underneath?
20.
Exactly, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there. Oh, this is where you'd start. This is the first one you need to know. All the way to calcium. Everything after calcium, you'll never get a question asked to you in GCSE chemistry. So if you can work out electron structure for all of these, work out protons, electrons and neutrons, know what groups they're in, what periods they're in, the first 20, you're set for any questions that come up with that. This is how many emails we're getting. Half an hour or less.
Happy Monday.
Right. Any questions you've got? Do you know what? I just completely forgot what I just taught you. I don't even know what I was on about. I got to get them reminded, right? So, what? You're going to get reminded? Do you know what? What was I talking about? Period something, John? Oh, I haven't got a clue. So, Sophie, who was the first one? They're correct. Sophie, first one.
John Newland.
Good. Who's the one that made it today?
Dmitry Mendeleev.
How many electrons of the first shell?
1. 2.
Good. How many on every other shell? What number does this table go up in? Ones, they're called what though?
Atomic.
Thank you. What is it? What's the other number? No, you're not getting away without answering a question. What's the name of group 1?
Alkaline.
Good. What's the name of the group 2s? What's the name of the middle? Let's go. They're the friendliest.
That's a nine.
Group 7.
That's a nine.
What am I doing?
Waving.
Yeah? Because I'm saying
Hello.
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 What's it called?
I don't know.
Halogens.
Halogens.
It's not the same.
It's the same, because hello, it's meant to remind you what it is.
Okay.
Halogensimal.
Hello, John.
Hello, Jen.
Shalom, Jack.
Well, like Mr. Kenny. Mr. Kenny would say Jen. Hello, gents. And then the last one, what's it called? Good. What about, what do I use when I want to work out protons, electrons, and neutrons?
PEN.
Good. What else? Oh, how many electrons in the outer shell of this group?
4.
How many electrons in the outer shell of this group?
7.
Good. If this is the start of the shells, how many shells has this group got?
2.
How many shells has this group got?
3.
Good. And it's the same. Goes across, right? Do you get this sheet in your exam?
Yes.
Good. What is it called?
A cheat sheet.
Cheat sheet, or commonly known as
Periodic table.
thank you.
Of
I've got a
elements.
question.
Welcome questions.
You know the shell thing?
Shells, yep.
That bit that you put on the outside.
Yep.
Does that add in with the bottom number?
This,
Yeah.
no.
So do you still have to put the 3 as well as
Yeah. So this is just tells you how many shells. It's just that it might ask you a simple question in your test, like a 1-mark answer, which is what do groups tell you? Well, groups tell us how many electrons on the outer shell. And what do periods tell you? Periods tells us how many shells they actually have. But you can work out how many electrons they've got on the little circle and dot thing by using that bottom number. Right, I've sent you all to your personal emails already, all the website connections. Log on, go onto your email, get cracking.